Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
It's March Mania at Sports Interaction. NHL, NBA, MLB, March Madness, and so much more. It's bananas. Play Pinata Picks and Minute Madness, exclusive games with insane odds you can't play anywhere else. Make your next bet with Sports Interaction. Download the app in Ontario, use the QR code you see at the bottom of the screen, or head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN to get started. 19 plus, please play responsibly. Oilers fans, we're back. It's Zach and Dennis. Recapping a 5-4 game against the Arizona Coyotes that was far closer than we probably wanted. Zach, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, that was not a fun game, I have to say. That was another really frustrating game. Right before we went live, I just wanted to look at the Oilers schedule and like the last couple games that they played in. It feels like we haven't seen that A+ game from the Oilers probably since they played Dallas back on the 16th of March. So we're coming up upon 2 weeks here where it seems like every single game, Seattle, San Jose, Arizona, Vegas, whatever, they've been playing subpar. There's been multiple glaring issues throughout the game up and down the lineup. You've had bad goaltending. You've had numerous issues that we can get into further. But yeah, no, it's been about 2 weeks and it's been just under 2 weeks. It's been 12 days. In 2 weeks, on that 2-week anniversary of the Dallas game, though, that'll be on Thursday. You're taking on the LA Kings. If you play like you did tonight, you're losing 7-1, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, don't look too far either. I mean, Vegas tomorrow, LA on Thursday. These are games where if you're wanting to contend for that second position in the Pacific, the first position in the Pacific, you gotta win these. And you're right, at this clip, it doesn't seem like the Oilers are playing their A game. There are a couple players I think that are starting to kick it up, get into that playoff season mode, but there's a lot of stragglers. There's a lot of dead weight right now. And I know there's a couple guys that we want to rip in on. We haven't started quite yet because I wanted to celebrate first Leon's 300th career goal. So accordingly, we should set today's late goal at 300, right? No, we'll make it easy for you guys. Let's keep it at 29. How's that sound, Zach?
29. I like it. 29. I like it a lot. I thought you were going to go 30, but you went one under that. But no, I'll be happy with either. But once we hit 29, let's keep going. Yeah, no. 29 is a good pick. Good pick.
And hey, we always talk about late goals, how it grows the show on YouTube. It's fantastic for the algorithm. But audio listeners, I don't want to exclude you. If you are listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever, rate us on the podcast apps. It helps us there as well. I know a lot of folks listen in afterwards, the next morning, the radio, or sort of on the drive into work, that sort of thing during a lunch break. So acknowledge you guys there as well. If you're listening on a podcast app, give us a rating there. It really helps us grow the show.
Yes.
So let's get right into it now. First period.
Yeah. Okay.
This game, it started a little bit wonky.
Oh yeah, dude. It was really weird. The Oilers came out really hard, right?
Yeah.
Connor McDavid gets a chance right off the puck drop, essentially. They forecheck hard. McDavid kind of slips in alone, and he's one-on-one with Vejmelka, tries to go 5-hole, stop by Vejmelka. Vejmelka's a really good goalie, a really, really good goalie. If the Oilers had Karel Vejmelka, man, they'd be a top 3 Stanley Cup favorite. But that's not the world we live in, right? Evander Kane also, early on at least, in the first 2 shifts, he was hitting really hard. He was really aggressive on the forecheck. He was trying to make stuff happen. I guarantee you he got an earful from whether it was the coach or his teammates about the overtime goal last game where he wasn't good last game. And then kind of even after the first couple shifts, Evander Kane, you could see I didn't even want to say he fell off a cliff because he wasn't playing really well to begin with, but like the poor play just continued from that the 2 wingers on that top line. And then obviously at the beginning of the first period, Matias Maccelli makes Cody Ceci look stupid. Jack lets in a weak goal. What else is new?
Yeah, like, you know what? That first goal, you keyed in on Kane playing a little bit, under what we expect him to be at, especially, playoff Kane last season was amazing. You really got to hope he brings up his intensity, because on that first goal, he was the man in front of the crease. There were two Coyotes that were basically uncontested, and Kane was kind of in between them. So in a way, yeah, you don't want Campbell letting that in, but it's also like a triple screen. Kane wasn't even trying to push guys away.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? It's still unacceptable that it went straight in. It wasn't tipped or anything like that. But
Yeah, not a good goal.
having that screen,
yeah,
that looks bad.
Like, I feel like right off the top, again, this was not a good game, and they won and like awesome, but we're in the stretch run, and the play needs to pick up considerably here. So we can go into the other issues first, but I think the thing that we should talk about first before we go throughout the game is goaltending. Again, the Oilers in all situations add about 5 goals of expected goals, right? So they scored just about what they were expected to. Vejmelka was good. And in turn, Arizona only had generated about 3.68 expected goals according to Money Puck, right? So then again, you're saying, oh, well, the defense let Jack Campbell down. He only let in one bad one, this bad read by this guy. At the end of the day, I'm sorry. Like, you are an NHL goaltender. You're paid like an NHL goaltender. Make a save or don't. But if you don't, stop. Like, I don't like seeing everyone else trying to make up, oh, like, good save. He made 3 good saves here, so it's okay that he let the bad one in. No, he let in more goals than he was expected to in terms of the advanced stat models. And here, I'm just going to go real quick here. And he finished with an 879 again. Mm-hmm. That is not NHL caliber. I do not care how many good saves you made, how many tip pucks hit you, where or what. At the end of the day, you let in a amount of goals that is subpar for like what you are paid to be doing. I don't care. You can come up with a million arguments, no justification, none.
Well, think about it, right? Like, I don't want to harp on the guy too much, because he is such a nice guy. But if you isolate it to just the play on the ice, he's consistently under 880, right? Like, it's not good enough. If Oil Country just has a stable 900 goaltender for both their starter and their backup, this team goes far. 910, amazing. Mike Smith was playing at 910, and it was lights out last season in the playoffs.
Yeah, he screwed up a couple times. Every game one, it seemed like he would have like a 600 save percentage. Then there was, whatever. That was last year. And Avery makes a good point in chat. Thanks for joining us, Avery, by the way. Hey. Jack's rebound control too. Yikes, exactly. Like, seems like every rebound is going out in the slot. And he's lucky that it's missing the stick of an Arizona Coyote or being picked up by his defenseman, because those can turn into some grade A chances. And again, there kind of isn't too much to say that hasn't already been said about Jack Campbell at this point, right? Like, he's in there, he's giving Stuart Skinner rest. Has Stuart Skinner been great the last 6 games he's played? Absolutely not. You need him to pick it up a little bit. He's been subpar, I guess you could say, for the last couple games at least.
Definitely cooled off at least from the start.
But again, what I said last show is the peaks haven't been maybe that high. He's had like a couple games here and there where he's stolen the game, but the same in the same vein as Jack Campbell, the valleys have not nearly been as low and for as long and as gaping, right? Like, you can't do it. He's in there to rest. You're pretty much guaranteed to finish third in the Pacific. Honestly, after the LA game, I probably throw Jack a couple more starts just to see what happens, because
hope he gets going.
Seattle lost again tonight. You're up on them by 5 points now. Like, you have a little bit of cushion there to lose a game here and there. Not against Vegas, not against LA. Every other team, let Jack start. Give Stu the rest, because come game 1 of the playoffs, you're running Stu all the way.
Yeah, I think, Vegas once, LA twice, and Colorado. That's the only games which have any sort of test in terms of playoff competition. The others are against Anaheim and San Jose. These last couple of games, you want to try and experiment. And I mean, Woodcroft tried real early into the game, like Janmark on the first line, but everyone that played with McDavid today just didn't seem to have it. Kane didn't seem to have it.
No.
Janmark didn't seem to have it. Yamo,
Well, so the thing with that is, so McDavid is getting dragged down insanely by his wingers. Like, let's just look at the lines here. Like, if we go and look again in terms of the lines and how they played, like McDavid, what the hell? He's not showing up on. Oh yeah, he is on the ice. He controlled 27% of the expected goals for when he was on the ice. Right, like he's being dragged down so considerably by both Yamamoto and Kane. Neither of them can make a pass. They can barely carry the puck through the neutral zone. We're at the point where, yeah, the Draisaitl Nugent-Hopkins Hyman line's been really good actually for the last 3 or 4 games, I'd say.
Yeah.
I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, we either need to break up that line and give one of Nugent-Hopkins or Hyman back to McDavid in order for McDavid to sustain some pressure, because it seems like every time the puck touches either of his wingers' sticks, it kills the play. It's dead. Kane, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, because we have seen in glimpses, even at the beginning of this season and in the playoffs last year, of what a healthy Evander Kane playing at his top of his game can do and can be. He had broken ribs and he had a horrible wrist injury. We're getting to the point though where the rubber's got to hit the road, and essentially, like, if you're not able to play at that pace on McDavid's line, then you can't. Like tonight, I genuinely believe they would have been better off swapping Devin Shore's wingers with Connor McDavid's wingers and giving him Derek Ryan and Klim Kostin.
Derek Ryan has some jump to him, but you're right. Like Kane, I think 2 games ago, right, was playing on the third line starting, and he looked fine with Bukestad and Fogle. And that's the sort of thing where you're looking at Evander Kane and you want him to try and bust a couple of pucks loose, get McDavid the puck, and then let McDavid do his magic, right? Kane right now doesn't have that finishing touch, and I don't think we really are harping on him too much on that. He's coming back from a wrist injury, so sure, the finishing's not quite there, but he's not doing the sort of aggregator sort of role.
Yeah, it's the way, it's the pace at which he's playing the game. It's the decisions that he's making on the ice. It's his passing, even. Like, everything just seems like it's not even one step behind, but like multiple steps behind. Like, I was towards the third period, I was like, oh boy, this is looking a little bit like Evander Lucic here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fire tweet.
I was seeing the 27 on the back in flashes and like PTSD moments. Like it's not been good watching him play. And the thing is, though, the thing is, it seems like the last like 6 Oilers games, they haven't been very smooth whatsoever. Like the penalty stretch where we had in the last 10 minutes of the first period here, where they just started calling the Oilers and all these weak calls and whatever. And there hasn't been like a real flow to any of these games. It feels like they haven't been able to get really like I don't even know what the word is, but there just hasn't been like that consistency in the play. Lines 1 through 4 coming out and driving the play and pushing the game towards the opposition. And you know what I mean?
And have you noticed, like, when you look at things like that, where the whole team is not really performing as how we're used to, is it a systems thing? You think, are you noticing that they're doing anything differently?
To me, again, I'm not a systems guy. If you want to check, the one guy who would point it out if there was something different would be Bruce Kurlock. And I know they game like 41, they started running the 1-3-1 or whatever in the offensive zone more. And I know they were like 2-1-1 or 2-2. I don't even know. Essentially, they were cheating for offense, flying the zone, whatever, and they were giving up higher quality chances in order to develop better chances for themselves. I'm not 100% sure. And to me, it doesn't even look like it is a systems thing, to be honest with you. It looks like this team goes at the pace in which Connor McDavid goes. And when your top line is being dragged down essentially by like 2 cinder blocks at this point in time, you're going to have a tough time developing offense, right? Cody Ceci again tonight, I thought really struggled. I thought Darnell Nurse was pretty good, to be honest with you.
Honestly, I think it's safe to say that Nurse was actually overplaying because of, Cody having a pretty rough year. Nurse right now without Ceci, when he's on the odd shift with like Kulak, when he's on the odd shift with Ekholm, he's looking like fine. He's looking confident. He jumped up on the rush today. It was great. But man, something about Nurse Ceci, and they're not necessarily having the most minutes every game. They're not necessarily having only the enemy team's top lines. They're balancing that sort of with Ekholm, Bouchard, and Narcisse.
Well,
It's
yeah.
it's just tough to see after, what was a really good signing for CC. Now it's starting
Well,
to go
really good
south.
first year. I think when it was
Yeah.
signed, everyone was like, "Oh, geez, I don't know about that one, Ken."
After
But
that first year,
then
yeah,
exactly, he played really well. But I think it's very telling tonight that when your defense partner Darnell Nurse plays almost 20, like 22 and a half minutes, and Cody Cece's down at 18 minutes, almost 4 minutes less
yeah.
than Darnell Nurse. And Wisecal makes a good point in chat, pointing out that both Cece and Kane were a -2, right? Matthias Michelli made Cece look absolutely stupid. I don't know what he was doing on that first goal, chasing Michelli out into the slot like that.
Yeah.
Falls for a fake, leaves Michelli wide open, and then obviously Jack lets in that goal. But
But that's another shocker, and I know this is an Oilers focused show, but I know you and I both don't watch a lot of Arizona hockey. Michelli and McBain, and I think Krause is the third person on that line. That's a killer line. Last time we played against Arizona, we talked about that Keller, Schmaltz, Hayton
yeah,
line. That was amazing.
much more quiet
This
today.
Arizona team, they're good.
They got some good pieces. But we'll see. I'm sure they'll make a trade Michelli for like Brent Seabrook's contract in the offseason to get rid of, because you can't pay Michelli whatever he's going to ask for, right? So yeah, no, Michelli's been obviously a revelation for that team. Though I'm sure they'll use him while he's cheap, and then they'll Jacob Chikrin him or something, and he'll end up in Ottawa. Wisecal McDavid was a -2. I don't really attribute that to Connor McDavid. I attribute that to Yamamoto, Kane, and always being on the ice with those guys, even being on the ice with Nurse and Cece. And again, I thought Darnell Nurse was fine. It's more Cody Cece that I'm complaining about. But then obviously, right after that Matthias Michelli goal, Leon works hard, draws a power play. He could have drawn 4 or 5. The amount of hooking and holding that goes on him when he's protecting the puck, skating, when he cuts back up towards the blue line and he's waiting to kind of do that cross ice pass, to whether it's defenseman cutting in on the other side or a winger streaking in. And the amount of hooking and holding that went on even later in this game, and he didn't receive the same call for, was a little ridiculous.
Well,
But
the
yeah,
reffing in this game already was just wonky from the first period on.
Well, yeah. So the Oilers, they score. Hyman scores 6 seconds onto the power play, and then it's a tic-tac-toe goal. The Oilers don't need much time, but then right after that, the Coyotes come back, and who was it? It was Barrett Hayton, I believe,
Hayton on the first,
the second goal.
yeah, the power play goal.
That was on the power play. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that one went off of Ekholm, I think. It was either Ekholm or Nurse.
Oh yeah, that was the bad luck goal where Campbell makes what looked to be a decent save, right? And it just goes right off Ekholm skating back in the net, right? So
yeah.
Man, and then and every time there's a puck behind Campbell, he's a puck near Campbell, he makes the save, he's still looking behind him. Every time a goal goes in, now you just see the shoulders go up in the air. You see that giant shrug, like even just the body language on him. It's almost just sad to watch.
I think that's the big defining factor, right? When you look at Campbell versus Skinner in net, there's something to be said about exuding confidence, right? When Skinner lets in a bad goal, and he does, he has, but
absolutely.
The team looks at him, because everyone's obviously looking at the net, and you see Skinner just, all right, well, you know what? I'm going to sweep it out of my net. Let's move on, right? There's no posturing, there's no sort of emotional attachment to it. It's just maybe I shouldn't have let that one in, but sweep and then back at it.
Yeah,
Campbell, when he does get beaten on some bad goals, there's obviously the infamous look at the glove, see if it's still physical, if there's any sort of phasing that went through there, the sort of stares into the ceiling. These are all just really bad signals, signs that he doesn't have any confidence. And when your teammates look at that, it's either one of two responses, right? There's the, let's work hard for this guy, let's see if we can, make his job easier. And I thought earlier on in this game, there were a considerable amount of block shots. So a good number of Coyotes chances where maybe if they weren't grade A, they were like grade B chances. They just laid the body. Costin had a good block in this game. Nurse had a timely block in this game. But after a while, if they're doing their darndest, if they're trying to make your job easier, and you're still letting in a squeaker or two every game, it's deflating for the rest of the team.
Absolutely. But yeah, right after they go up 2-1, it's less than a minute later, Warren Fogle with some hard work. And I thought that Fogle, Bugstad, Yanmark line, or I think Yamamoto might have been on this line at that line at this point,
Yeah.
was really good. Fogle makes a pass up to Evan Bouchard, who snipes it, ties the game right back 2-2. The Coyotes barely ever have the lead. And then a little bit later, when we get that brigade to the penalty box, a weak call after weak call from first, it was Vincent Desharnais on the phantom hold. Then it was Draisaitl for a literally attempted slashing.
Don't forget, there was the too many men call.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
was just kind of
where they didn't have too many men. They had 5 guys on the ice. So there might have been one leg of someone who was like halfway on the bench. But like that is not a too many men call. That was the crowd calling something and the refs getting together, talking, and just giving the Oilers a penalty. That was one of the weirdest too many men calls I've ever seen.
It was like 1 foot on the ice, and you don't want to see it regardless, right? You want your signals to be clear. But yeah, that was a weird one. You're right, the Desharnais one.
Well, then the McDavid
the phantom slash.
Call, and then you're like, that happened to McDavid 25 times a game. 25 times. And Michelli, all right, he worked, he moved his feet, he earned that call. But at the end of the day, that's ridiculous. And if you're going to call that, Arizona, the 3rd most penalized team in the league, as I said on the broadcast, are you telling me at one point the power plays are like 4-1? You're telling me the Arizona only committed 1 infraction there? Like, are we serious? And then you watch like Draisaitl just get so frustrated, lifting his hands in the air. You watch Clint later in the game. We'll get into the one that the missed call on Klim Kostin, because that really pissed me off. But anyways, on that brigade to the penalty box, you have a shorthand. You had multiple shorthand chances. I thought the Oilers. The penalty kill scares me a little bit because of how much they look for offense on the penalty kill. I feel like they give up just a little bit more than they should, or they're giving up a little bit extra in order to search for offense. Sometimes they don't get the puck out right away because they're like, is there a guy breaking the zone that I can hit with the pass to try and get like a 2-on-1 or kill a little bit more time? But anyways, Yamamoto gets the puck. They miss the first chance. Anyways, Yamamoto gets back. It looks like it's a 2-on-1 that they're closing the gap on. Yamo hits the trailer. Nurse scores shorthanded goal. Fantastic goal for Darnell Nurse. And then after that goal, Yamamoto gets the elevation back up to the top line. In favor of obviously over Matisse Janmark.
Yeah, and if you look at that first period, like if we just had to encapsulate each period in a word, the first period was danger hockey, high event hockey. The Oilers scored on every possible scenario: a 5-on-5 goal, a power play goal, a shorthanded goal.
Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, they let 2 past them as well. Like it was just everything happening. At that stage in the game, I was thinking this outcome was going to be like a 7-4 game.
Yeah, definitely some stuff that needs to be cleaned up defensively. Like absolutely, the Oilers didn't play well defensively. They didn't get help all over.
But in the second period, that was one of the better defensive games.
Yep.
Like the Oilers kept them at 7 shots. And it was still interesting hockey. It wasn't the sort of trap play style, but it was more defensively sound. Campbell was making good stops in the second period.
Yeah, I mean, the Oilers outshot the Coyotes 13-6 in the second period. That was definitely their best period of the night. Campbell goes on these stretches where, I mean, he looks unorthodox as hell, and I'm never going to be comfortable with him in the net. But he makes decent saves. He's making some high danger saves, and I appreciate him for it, right? Like, the thing is, though, as we go down and we look kind of at the third period, the script really flips, because if we just go to 5-on-5, at 5-on-5, the Coyotes outchanced the Oilers 6-1 in the third period. At 5-on-5, they outshot the Oilers 11-5 in the third period. That is not good. Now, a little bit of it is score effects. They did score, I believe, relatively early on, though, to tie up the game in the third period.
The Michelli one was, like 4 minutes in or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. So I'd say, so a little bit of that score effects, but at the end of the day, the one thing that's plagued the Oilers a lot is when they try and sit back on a lead, because this is not a team designed from goaltender to every forward to every defenseman is not designed to sit back on a lead. You sit back, you lose. every time, like clockwork. Michelli made them look stupid. Obviously, a really good player. Barrett Hayton ties the game on a very similar goal to Matthias Michelli, where they kind of outweigh Jack Campbell and tuck it behind his pad on the ice.
Well, it's all rebound control for those two, right?
Yeah.
Like both of those, if they're kicked further, don't have as much danger to them, right? There's at least more time to react. But these were dropped essentially right in front of the blue paint. So at that distance, you're not going to be able to stretch a pad out to make a second save here.
And MGD talks about the reffing being weird tonight. And this is my really big bone to pick. In the third period, really pretty early on, Klim Kostin had a beautiful move where he cuts to the middle of the ice to get a clean shot to the net right from the slot. And he's got a pretty heavy shot when he leans on it, right? And he is just hooked, completely dragged down. As blatant as it gets. Refs right there. That takes away a direct scoring chance. That is a textbook penalty. You call that in Timbits, you call that in beer league, you call that in the NHL. There's a penalty every day of the week. 5 seconds, they don't call that. The puck goes the other way. Matthias Michelli puts it in the net. That goal should not have happened. They didn't call a penalty because they didn't want the Oilers to start going the power play and score another almost guaranteed goal. That's a textbook game management. We saw a number of that game management bullshit tonight again. That really, really, really pissed me off. That was ridiculous. That shouldn't happen. And again, right after Michelli scores, the Coyotes have momentum, and we talked about Barrett Hayton already. And
yeah, well, and towards the end of the game, right, that's when the Oilers started getting their power play opportunities again. When it got to 4-4, then, okay, fine, next one, we did a couple on Edmonton. Let's go for one on Arizona. And then, of course, there was the follow-up. It was a 5-on-3, and Nuge gets a beautiful rebound. Well, the hand-eye coordination on that goal, too.
Well, so the first penalty they were on, that power play didn't look that good. Who was the original penalty? Who drew the original penalty? Oh, it was Klim Kostin. Again, on the exact same move, they called that one. That's where I got even more pissed off. I'm like, you fucking kid, you call that one, you don't call the other one. Whatever. He draws it.
A beautiful drive to the net, right? Like, that's the sort of play that you want Kostin to be doing.
Yep, they call that a penalty. The Oilers get the power play. They don't really have a good power play. They don't really generate much in terms of chances. But with 9 seconds left, the second unit on, Evander Kane at the blue line, stick handling for his life. The Coyotes take a hooking call. The Oilers don't have their timeout because they already called it when Barrett Hayton scored. And they just go out. They throw Draisaitl McDavid, the top unit, back out. And quickly, right after the penalty ends, RNH taps on a Evan Bouchard rebound. And yeah, it was beautiful play. And thank God they were able to hold on. But damn, the Coyotes' empty net defense tonight when McDavid and Draisaitl were cycling in their zone with no goalie and they couldn't score.
Well,
wow.
it was Connor, Leon, and Evander, right? All three of them were, well, Leon already had his 300th, but, Connor and Kane, they wanted maybe that 300th, but just no one was able to get the puck into a clean area to get a shot off. I just owe it to the Coyotes to make this game interesting, right? They have a really great record at Mullet. Don't know why.
Dude, one of the things, sorry to cut you off, the broadcast night, the shadows, my God.
Yeah, it looked like a shadow game, literally a Yu-Gi-Oh game.
I was shocked. When I turned on my TV, I couldn't believe, and I'm going to be upfront. I have not watched many highlights even of games, or maybe I've watched highlights, I haven't really paid attention, but watching that and just being like, oh my God, they need to go to Best Buy and buy some ring lights because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, and partway through, I feel like the lighting, I tweeted about this, but maybe it was just me or my TV or my eyes, but it felt like the lighting changed. Like they went from like a dimmer oranger lighting to a harsher blue light. And I thought I was seeing things. I went to the bathroom, I rubbed my eyes, but it's so funny to see, I think towards the end of the game, when it was in the third period, and they panned from Louis DeBrusque in the booth with Jack, and Jack was completely covered because Louis is a big guy, but they pan from him down to the ice level, and they are so incredibly close. Like, say what you will about the place and how awful it is for the league and the NHL's reputation. I'd like to go to a game in Mullet
I
Arena.
wanted to go to this game. I really did. I wasn't able to make it happen this year, but if the Coyotes end up getting that bill passed to build their new arena, they'll be at this arena for the next 3 years or something
Yeah,
until they get their home in Tempe. So you have ample opportunities to go to a game at ASU. No, and man, it was like
Harvard of the
60% Oilers
Southwest.
fans. It was loud. It was an Oilers home game down there, which is a little embarrassing in its own right for the Arizona Coyotes. But man, that would be really cool to go.
Well, and the tickets were like what, $100? They said something like that. I don't know if
That's
that's
it.
American or
Well,
Canadian.
partially, I think a lot of these Sunbelt teams and Canadian teams do come down. They see it as an opportunity to make their money back on their season tickets. So I know like Oilers, Leafs, Habs, specifically Canucks, even they upcharge the shit out of them. Like if you wanted to go see a Panthers Coyotes game at the Mullet, I bet you could go for $70. I bet you the
Yeah,
Oilers are charging you upwards of $200. Just because it's
yeah.
mostly also you're fighting against Edmontonians for the tickets, right? There's only like
Honestly,
3,000 available.
and they said around 60% of the fans were Oilers fans. It looked and sounded like 80%.
Oh
You
my
know, the
god, yeah.
chants started so early.
Mm-hmm. Dude, it was crazy. I really liked the vibe in that arena. Again, it's not the ideal place for an NHL team to be playing, but you are right. I would love to go there, and I will try and make the trip out there at some point.
MGD in chat has the clarification: $100 for students that can attend the game.
Ah,
So that's obviously US dollars too as well. Then
yes.
Wise
Let's
Kyle, ASU. I don't know if you studied there or if you've been there. ASU campus looks amazing.
Oh
Yeah, the
yeah.
campus is great.
I've seen it. The dorm's got like a giant pool right out in front of it. It is you're staying at a 5-star resort. Like you are there for partying first, school second. It would be a sick place to go to school. Not
Not
like the
great.
universities here.
Not great for the fact that McDavid had to like walk across a sidewalk to get into the arena though from
Yeah,
his locker
yeah.
room.
Well, yeah, I saw that he's walking through the concourse in the morning skate, and Gene's following him around with the phone. That was a little insane.
Yeah.
One other guy who I thought definitely, I talked about it on the last show because he probably had his weakest game as an Oiler. What a bounce back game from Matthias Ekholm, right? The guy just flying on the ice. For the Corsi attempts on the ice here, 24-4 and only 9 against for the Coyotes. He was dominant tonight. I thought he had multiple chances to score where Vejmelka robbed him. Bouchard, obviously the best one, Bouchard finds him cutting into the zone and he streaks in past all the Coyotes defense flat-footed, does a back end. Vejmelka just catches it with the pad. He wasn't able to elevate it. But man, oh man, Matthias Ekholm is such a dog. Like him and Evan Bouchard have been the saving grace. They have been just fantastic.
And it's fantastic because not only does it help with the Bouchard pairing, it's
Mm-hmm.
also had a great effect on Nurse. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you think about how bad they were now and how bad they were then and how they are now, it's still a considerable improvement. We harp on them and that pairing a lot, but yeah, like having Ekholm to stabilize and take some of those minutes from Nurse,
Mm-hmm.
it's been a world of a
Oh,
difference.
yeah. Ekholm's been a dog. Unbelievable. And MGD in chat says, Zach, what about Devon Shore? I mean, Devon Shore was fine. He was on the ice for he controlled what is it here? I saw like 58% of the expected goals when he was on the ice. Again, I thought the bottom six again tonight, like they were fine. They were good. It's the top six in this wacko zone that we're in right now that's having all the problems. But the thing is with Devon Shore is he's kind of a sitting duck. Like he's fine right now as your 13th, 14th forward. Ryan McLeod coming back will take him out of the lineup. I'm at the point now where Ryan McLeod can't get back soon enough, and not to be the third line center, he has got to be put back in the top six here.
Yeah, I think Ryan McLeod's speed is something that's been just missed so badly. The fact that he's able to drive guys back, like the defenders back, and create all this extra room, the
Well,
fact that they don't have that anymore,
he's
it's
defensively
significant.
responsible too. Like he is
As well, yeah.
Yeah, and he can carry the puck and he doesn't kill the play. You put McLeod on left wing, maybe you move Kane over to right wing. I don't know, but you have Hyman on right wing. You got to be able to have a top six where Connor McDavid isn't being drag down because McDavid has had 1 assist now in back-to-back games, I believe here. That is only because, I mean, again, he got robbed a few times by Vejmelka, but McDavid should be putting up more numbers than this. He's generating more
Yeah.
chances than this. It's just his line mates are killing his
Well,
production.
his 1 point tonight came from the power play, and it was his 140th point. So
Yes. Oh,
10
yes.
away,
Gotta
it's
bring that up.
close to 150.
I mean, with these wingers, it'll be tough. It'll be tough. We'll see. He'll get 150 again.
Yeah.
I believe Kane will be fine, but you just can't have Kane and Yamamoto on the same line at the way they're both playing right now. You honestly, you gotta break up the Nugent-Hopkins Draisaitl Hyman line in the meantime. And one of the things that I've been thinking about more and more, because Dylan Holloway came back and he's been playing well, he probably won't be back until the start of the playoffs because I don't think the Oilers have the space right now to even call him up. But Dylan Holloway, I think you got to give him another look in the top 6 here.
Yeah, I think if the rest of the team is clicking the way it is right now and it's just not firing, you give him a chance. We saw when he was playing with Connor McDavid how electric that first line was. Looking at it though, like I think the bigger impact is going to be Ryan McLeod coming back. Not only he's such a fantastic player because he pairs well with everyone.
Exactly.
Like you could put him from line 1 through 4 and he makes all of them better.
He's such an effective NHL player. He's someone that every team should want to have in their lineup. You can put him in the top 6. You can put him as your third line center. He is great. And I know he was on the ice wearing a non-contact jersey, I think a couple days ago in Edmonton. So maybe he's not super close. Maybe he's a week out, week and a half out. I don't really know what the injury was to be able to say here, but man, him coming back and his speed and his skill would help a lot. And I think you're laughing. I think you see what Wise Kyle said in chat, eh? And I would say, man, I would pound if I was at the ASU frat parties there with the Oilers. I would pound at least 20 beers. I could do that in my sleep.
Specifically Coors Banquets.
Oh man, I only Coors Banquets. Nothing else. But no, yeah, then that would be sick. Mix in a water every 6 and you're good to go.
Hey, there we go. Responsible drinking.
Exactly. Like Wise Kyle said.
Yeah, drink responsibly out there. And
one thing. Oh, sorry. You go.
Oh, yeah, Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, because we're talking about options in the top 6, and I saw he got a shift there after the penalty kill, and he was there when there were injuries, I believe, to Kane, when Kane was last out. Why isn't Warren Fogle in the top 6? Like, I understand he's doing really well in the bottom 6. I think I saw 6 points in his last 7 games, but man, he's someone who's playing well. You can use him on Draisaitl's line and give one of those Hyman or Nugent-Hopkins to McDavid. Like, you're killing yourself not having a top line that's extremely dominant.
Well, I think the hard part there is Fogle plays left, right? And this really exposes.
I believe he could play both sides, but I might be wrong. I think in Carolina he played both sides for sure.
Either way, it does expose the sort of weakness that the Oilers have in this roster, right? And it's just that right side.
Yeah, literally right side 1 through 4 on line 1 through 4 and D pairing. Well, not Bouchard, but everywhere else there is a weakness on the right side. Yeah, no, it's tough, and that's obviously that's down the road. That's off season. We're past it. We're in the you deal with it however you got, whether it's Holloway, Raphael, Lavoie, who knows. But yeah, no, there's definitely something that's concerning. But next game, Vegas Golden Knights back-to-back tomorrow. You're going to need a lot better effort. And I do not think you can have Yamamoto and Kane on the same line. Like, if you go into that game, like you saw the trouble that Vegas gave you last game and you ended up losing in overtime. Vegas is a very, very, very beatable team. But that with the Oilers, hindering their strengths, like by putting Kane and Yamamoto on that McDavid line, you're going to be in so tough.
Well, and just letting up, right? Like we saw in this third period, that was another issue, was just letting up too much. Now the Golden Knights are rested, so that's going to be another issue there. They haven't played since Saturday, and the Oilers are coming in tomorrow on this sort of back-to-back. The good thing is Arizona and Nevada aren't too far, not too bad of a flight.
The Oilers already might be in Vegas.
Right. But yeah, you're right. Like that Saturday game was disappointing in a couple of ways, right? It was good in that you saw the same sort of mentality where if you're down, the Oilers do not give up when they're down. They try as hard as possible to claw back into every single game.
Mm-hmm.
But I am concerned, like you mentioned, they didn't play with a lead at all against Vegas on Saturday. Let's see how it is tomorrow. Hopefully they get out in front of it and
I
hold
don't
on.
know. They beat Vegas the first two times they met this year. I think Mark Stone was in the lineup for those games against Vegas. For sure at least one of them he was. Like, Vegas is a good team. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
The thing about Vegas is their goaltending is very iffy. Now, the Rumperswald gave a really good effort against Vegas, but like that's one of the few teams where I feel like Edmonton can go shot for shot with them in terms of
Win goal.
goaltending. Yeah. But then you go against LA, and that's what really concerns me. And man, I could not be more
Yeah.
jacked up for that game. Like, the game against Vegas is exciting, no doubt. I want to beat, like, these next two games are a lot more exciting than the stretch we've had of Arizona, San Jose, Arizona, blah, 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 whatever. Like, these next two games, I'm so excited for. I really want to see how they perform, because I know that every player in that locker room knows that they have not played their best for a little bit here now. And it's
Mhm.
going to be interesting to see how they come out. Now, you're right. It is a back-to-back. They were going to be a little tired, even though it is a short play. That LA game on Thursday, man, that is such an important game. You're going to play them two times in a really close stretch. That is most likely who your playoff opponent is. And I know Wisecout says we're 3 points back from LA. The way the NHL works with 9 games left, I think it's fairly safe to assume that we're not catching them.
Unless LA seriously biffs the two games against us.
So this is the thing, and I agree with everyone. LA is scary. Out of every playoff team in the West, like, LA scares me the most. I want to give them their credit before I go on to destroy them. But the thing is about LA, they're so suspect, and I want to pull up. I might even just try and pull up their schedule here, because I know LA was like it's been the hottest team in the league, 8-0-2, but let's look at who they've actually beaten in that stretch. And again, you beat who you're facing, right? Like, you have to just beat the teams in front of you. And then the Oilers went on that crazy stretch in February. They were beating a ton of non-playoff teams too. But okay, they lost to Vancouver. They beat Columbus. They beat the Islanders, who I don't believe are in a playoff spot. They lost to Nashville in the shootout, who aren't in the playoffs at this point in time. They beat Colorado. They lost to Washington, or they beat Washington. They beat St. Louis. They beat Montreal. Again, 3 non-playoff teams. Let's go. Keep going. They beat Winnipeg. Kind of bad. They beat the Rangers. Good team. They beat the Islanders. They lost to the Devils. So
Devils wild.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going back into, like, before the trade deadline here, right? So
Yeah, and you know what? Like, here's the thing, right? LA is a scary team. We've heard that narrative. If the Oilers were to play against LA, we don't really know how the outcome would be, not only in terms of can they beat the Kings, but also in terms of how badly would they be banged up in the second round, even if they do.
And Michael says in the chat, Islanders are in a playoff spot. Thank you for that.
I think they're in a wild card spot, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that East wild card spot's been flopping around a little bit here.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I do want to say about like, and I know Edmonton gets their crap for not being able to play defense, whatever. And they did start Phoenix Copley in the last game they played, but at the end of the day, they beat the St. Louis Blues, who are on a playoff team, 7-6, who sold at the deadline. So as much as everyone's hyping up LA and everyone's scared of LA, and I'm right there with you, because again, their strengths they're the anti-Oilers is what they are. They're exactly built to be the anti-Oilers. So it's super scary. But just as much as Thursday is a test for Edmonton, it is a test for the LA Kings. So don't get that mistaken. This isn't some juggernaut team that, like, it's not the Boston Bruins, who have been hot the entire season. This is a team that had a Gavrikov and Korpisalo and has been on a heater. Like, one other thing, and I can't do it right off the top here. I would have need to prepare this before the show, but I would be interested to see what LA's PDO is, since the trade deadline, right? Like, how lucky are they getting?
Luck. Yeah.
Like, I know the save percentage has been through the roof. What's their shooting percentage been, right? And they are hot, and again, they're a good team, and I keep on it. I want to preface that, but I don't think they're head and shoulders better than the Edmonton Oilers when the Oilers are playing at their best. This version with the Kane and Yamamoto first line, yeah, but
yeah, like let's be honest, right? I still believe if the Oilers put it together, that this is the best year to try and make it to the final, because the entire Western Conference is just in a tizzy, right? Like, Dallas has started to take a step back. Colorado has been surging after they got a little bit healthier. I don't know why the Wild is doing so well right now. I have
They're also just they're a decent team. They're clicking on all levels. And again, I would need to look into it deeper. And it's kind of stuff I would have to prepare before the show. I'm not good at pulling up numbers really quick. I could barely get the expected goals up before we start the show. But yeah, it's something I'd be interested in. As much as I'm excited for Tuesday, that Thursday game against LA at home. Oh man, I have that circled on the calendar. It's a big game, and it's a big game for both teams.
Yeah, I think it's now into a stage where there's going to be a little bit of experimentation, but it's go time. And
Yeah.
you know what? Let's end off the show by talking about the guy who's probably geared up the most, Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah.
Just the way that he's skating now, the way that he's checking, he's hard on pucks, he's hard on bodies.
Yeah, absolutely. And MGD in chat, thank you for pointing that out. More likes. We are 4 away from the like goal. We got 36 you guys watching now. So you guys want to go ahead, smash that like button, keep it up. Let's hit that 29 that we set
for Leon.
Beginning of the show for Leon as we talk about Leon. But yeah, no, Leon has turned it on. The points have always been there, but now we're seeing that guy who can dominate the play away from Connor McDavid at 5-on-5, whether it is with Warren Fogle, whether he is flanked by two really good players in Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman. Leon Draisaitl over the last 5 games, 6 games now has been, maybe the best player on the Oilers.
Yeah,
he has been great, and he has been a force physically. I believe he's been significantly better defensively.
He has. There are so many scenes in each of these games in the last little while where Leon is the guy back, and it surprises me because we know Leon as this sort of the most effortlessly talented scorer. But he's really been hustling back there, doing back checks, stripping pucks away from guys, crushing guys against the boards if he has that chance to. And it's been at no detriment to his scoring touch. Obviously today's goal was just a beauty. I thought it was off of Nugent's pass, but it's telling me unassisted on the official NHL site. So I guess they didn't count that as a dish. But Leon at that, he's not at Ovi's level quite yet, but in that spot, he is clearly making himself known throughout the league as just a deadly shooter.
I mean, he has 28. He has more power play goals than the Arizona Coyotes. He has a spot on the power play, and unlike Ovechkin, who's kind of at the top of the circle, right? Leon is on the goal line half the time when he takes these one-timers. It is unhuman. It is ridiculous. It shouldn't be physically possible, but he can hit the smallest of spots. If you leave a puck-sized hole between your head and the crossbars, the goalie, Leon will put the puck in there. He is so dominant. He is so good. He has exceeded every expectation since we drafted him. He's at 113, 114 points now. I hope he hits 120. But yeah, excellent play.
He's starting to get that viciousness in him.
And you know what the other thing is too? And I know LA is so improved. I'm going back to LA. They got Fiala and they got Doughty back, who was hurt. Again, the Oilers have replaced Duncan Keith, Matthias Ekholm, and Evan Bouchard is a completely new player. So the Oilers have a new top pairing. But you know what the Oilers also have? A healthy Leon Draisaitl and a healthy Darnell Nurse. Darnell Nurse got hurt 4 games before the playoffs last season. He was ineffective. He couldn't rotate. His entire torso, it was ripped. I can't remember what happened, but he had a significant catastrophic injury that would have kept him up for probably a month or 2, I believe. And I remember hearing rumors that it might have even required surgery in the offseason. That was definitely an option, even though he didn't get surgery. He was broken in the playoffs. He couldn't rotate. He could barely skate. So to have those two healthy going into the playoffs, game changer as well. Game changer. The Oilers if they can hit their stride at the right time and they can get the guys who aren't going, and at least it's not, we're not saying, oh, Leon's not going anymore. It's the kind of the secondary players, and I would even argue Yamamoto he should be a secondary, but he's more of a tertiary player at this point, because we do have, I believe, 3 options right now in Fogle, Holloway, and McLeod who could go into that spot seamlessly.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of games left, so if they want to do some experimenting or test some black aces, there's not a lot of time to do so.
29.
And we hit 29. Hey, look at that. 29, as we were talking about, Leon. I think that's as good of a point as any. To recap, Oilers 5-4 victory over the Coyotes. But you're right, Zach. The next 2 games, Tuesday, so tomorrow night, against Vegas Golden Knights at 8 p.m. Mountain puck drop. You'll be having the post-game show for that one.
Yeah, just me again, back against Vegas. I got both Vegas games by myself. Who would have thought?
Let's hope the outcome is a little bit more favorable for you there. And after that, Thursday, big game against the LA Kings. You teed it up, but also big show for us, game over Edmonton. You'll be there. I'll be there. And we'll have moderator Rob, producer Rob, editor Rob.
Yeah. I forgot. Yeah,
Rob will be here. Things are going to be flying because he is a Kings fan. And you know what? I don't think the two of us combined are able to, dish the heat like Rob can.
Oh, no, I'll dish the heat. I'll cook him. I'll cook him. I don't care. I love him. I'll cook him. But
tune in to the Thursday show. Tune into the Tuesday show as well. I'll be in chat supporting Zach as well. That's it for us tonight. Thank you so much for watching. And Zach, where can they find you?
You can find me at ZWheel97 on Twitter. Dennis, where can they find you?
On Twitter, Dennis Lee YEG. That's it for us tonight. It's a good game. At least we won. And
absolutely. Let's play La Bamba, baby.
Play La Bamba, baby.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Stay safe. See you tomorrow.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.